Does it hurt you that she's around your children?
It does not hurt me, no. More than anything, I go into protective mode. Like, I'm never going to trust someone who adored my family setup so much that they work their ass to come between it. Of course, with the help of him, but still.
Hey, our children are perfectly fine.
Like I said, for me, knowing that they are around someone who has said such nasty and vile things about their mother and about
when all those babysitters that you had, 11 babysitters,
who said multiple things
you know
about their father.
11
See how he
babysitters.
defends her? He's bringing up something directly at me when I'm talking about a person who has, for years, as he knows, tried to torture and come in between our marriage, DMing me. See, he knows all of those things, and I could keep going. So when he sits there and tries to defend, how dare you?
Oh my goodness! The moment we've all been desperately waiting for has finally arrived. Carlos King, the undisputed monarch of reality television, is breaking his silence. And believe me when I tell you, he is holding absolutely nothing back. After what feels like an eternity of speculation, countless dodged questions, and maintaining a strategic silence while drama unfolded at every turn, the mastermind behind our favorite shows is finally letting the world know exactly how he feels about Martell's actions. And the truth he's revealing? It's sending seismic waves through the entire Love and Marriage Huntsville fan base. For those who've been following this absolutely riveting saga, and honestly, who hasn't been glued to their screens, you're already intimately familiar with the fact that Martell and Melody's relationship has been nothing short of a Category 5 hurricane of chaos and destruction. Their marriage, which we all watched disintegrate in real time, culminated in what can only be described as the most bitter, venomous divorce after Martell's infidelity came to light. And just when everyone thought, surely this is the pinnacle of drama, Martell decided to take things to unprecedented levels of messiness. We're talking about accusations of revenge, deliberately leaked personal information that should have remained private, and the kind of toxic behavior that had faithful viewers screaming at their television screens for years. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. Carlos King isn't just your average run-of-the-mill reality TV producer. He is the mastermind, the visionary who brought this explosive cast together, the puppet master who has witnessed every single dramatic moment unfold from the front row. So when he finally decided it was time to share his unfiltered thoughts about Martell and this entire situation, you better believe the entertainment world stood still.
Life is good, God is good, okay? So, in case you missed the other live earlier, I need a bag, so I had to... So, in real life, I always call Marlo, okay? I always call Marlo when I'm out shopping because she is my person. So, you know, y'all get a chance to see who I am in my real life, not stuff you hear about.
Now, here's the truly fascinating part that adds layers to this already complex situation. Fans have been practically begging Carlos to speak up, but there was one significant obstacle in his way. He was literally bound by contract. As both the host of Love and Marriage Huntsville's reunion specials and the show's executive producer, Carlos was under incredibly strict contractual obligations that required him to maintain complete neutrality during filming and keep his personal opinions safely locked away from the public eye. This is standard practice in the industry where reunion hosts, especially those wielding behind-the-scenes influence, are expected to facilitate conversations rather than choose sides. But this enforced silence only served to fuel rampant fan speculation to unprecedented levels. Viewers were becoming increasingly frustrated, wondering why Carlos, a man who has never shied away from addressing messy reality TV moments head-on, wasn't calling out Martell's increasingly problematic behavior. The speculation reached fever pitch, with some viewers convinced he was secretly protecting Martell, while others, perhaps more astutely, suspected he was simply biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash his true thoughts. And now, with the reunion episodes officially aired and the contractual constraints lifted, Carlos is finally ready to make his stance crystal clear. No more diplomatic responses, no more carefully worded statements. He's serving his raw raw, unfiltered take on the messy fallout between Martell and Melody. And let me tell you, he is not coming to Martell's defense.
Stop being the victim all the time.
Ooh,
it gets on my nerves.
So everybody just heard everything Martell said.
No,
and
because
Martell said, I'm playing the
well,
victim.
I wish one day people will see the person that you really are. You throw all the damn stones and hide your hands and be the victim. Because when we start going through stuff, I told you what you weren't doing in the marriage.
To truly comprehend why this moment is sending shockwaves through the reality TV community, we need to take a deep dive into the past. The dissolution of Martell and Melody's marriage wasn't just another reality TV breakup. It was the kind of spectacular implosion that had everyone, from casual viewers to devoted fans, completely captivated. But what truly pushed this situation beyond the point of no return was Martell's alleged systematic attempts to destroy Melody's reputation in the aftermath of their divorce. For years, and I mean years, Martell appeared completely incapable of accepting that his marriage was over. Instead of taking the high road and moving forward with his life like a mature adult, he seemed pathologically determined to make Melody pay for having the audacity to leave him. He launched repeated attacks on her parenting abilities, made increasingly hostile comments about her personal life, and persistently tried to minimize his own role in the catastrophic failure of their relationship. But then, just when everyone thought the situation couldn't possibly become more toxic, things took an even darker, more sinister turn. The reality TV world was rocked to its core when allegations of revenge porn began circulating. According to multiple sources, Martell allegedly possessed explicit content involving Melody and was threatening to leak it to the public. Whether he actually intended to follow through with this threat or was simply using it as leverage against her remains unclear, but the mere existence of these accusations was enough to spark widespread outrage throughout the community. Melody, who was already struggling to cope with Martell's relentless public attacks, was reportedly devastated by this new development. To her credit, she handled the situation with remarkable grace and dignity, refusing to give Martell the satisfaction of seeing her lose her composure. Fans immediately rallied behind her, condemning Martell's behavior in the strongest possible terms. Social media exploded with support for Melody, with one particularly passionate viewer commenting, "Martell is the textbook definition of a bitter ex-husband. He's doing everything in his power to tear Melody down simply because she's thriving without him." Another fan didn't mince words, stating, "This man had the absolute audacity to cheat, destroy his family, and somehow still paint himself as the victim. Melody deserves nothing but peace, not this constant harassment."
Listen, this show means a lot to Melissa in a very different way of what it means to Teresa. I think, to your point, listen, I think anybody who watches the show can see that Melissa wants to be the top dog, and she has trouble with Teresa constantly winning in the end. And this, I'm gonna tell you, it was the season where Danielle Staub, one of my favorites of all time.
Yes,
it was the season where Danielle Staub, unfortunately, Melissa, like, Teresa told me to pull the hair. What I saw was this excitement of Melissa getting the tea. Like, well, she did what? And I think in Melissa's mind, she was like, "Oh, baby, it's going down."
But here's where Carlos King's revelations become absolutely earth-shattering. He didn't just share his opinions. He came armed with irrefutable receipts and a comprehensive psychological analysis that left viewers stunned. During his sit-down with Dustin Ross, the two delved deep into Martell's behavioral patterns, and what they uncovered was far more disturbing than anyone could have anticipated. This wasn't simply about a bitter ex-husband lashing out. There were deeper, more troubling issues at play. Carlos expertly identified one of the most alarming red flags in Martell's behavior, his deeply ingrained get-back mentality. Rather than taking responsibility for his actions like an emotionally mature adult, Martell consistently chooses to go on the offensive, seemingly obsessed with making Melody appear just as culpable as himself. This perpetual cycle of revenge isn't just toxic, it's potentially dangerous, creating a never-ending spiral of conflict that shows no signs of resolution. The The situation became even more shocking when Martell was given multiple opportunities to show remorse and take accountability for his actions. Instead of seizing these chances for redemption, he doubled down on his behavior. Even when confronted with undeniable evidence of his misconduct, Martell steadfastly refused to acknowledge any wrongdoing, brushing off serious concerns, deflecting blame onto others, and continuing to justify his increasingly problematic actions. Carlos, clearly fed up with Martell's persistent denial, didn't hold back in pointing out that this behavior isn't just damaging his relationship with Melody, it's systematically destroying his reputation and cementing his position as the villain in the public eye. Perhaps most troubling of all was Martell's apparent indifference to this reality. But wait, there's an even more fascinating layer to this story that Carlos brought to light. What if Martell's true source of bitterness isn't actually Melody at all? What if the real target of his resentment is Marcel? This theory adds an entirely new dimension to the ongoing drama. Consider this fascinating shift in dynamics. Just a few years ago, Martell was at the pinnacle of success. He had it all: a beautiful wife, a picture-perfect family, and a thriving career that seemed unstoppable. Meanwhile, Marcel and Tisha were still working to establish themselves in both their personal and professional lives. But now, the tables have turned so dramatically it's almost impossible to believe. Marcel and Tisha are experiencing unprecedented success. Their business ventures are flourishing. Their marriage, while not without its challenges, remains solid and loving, and they're consistently moving forward in all aspects of their lives. In stark contrast, Martell's life appears to be unraveling at an alarming rate. His personal life is in complete disarray. His business ventures are struggling to stay afloat, and his once sterling reputation is in tatters.
Martell playing mind games, that's just what he does. Like him showing up here today with these flowers, this smile on his face like Prince Charming, when we all know that he's responsible for all of the stuff happening on social media pertaining to me. That could change people's opinions about me by him giving these false narratives. He's responsible for that.
And then came the reunion, a moment that will undoubtedly go down in reality TV history. The atmosphere on that stage was electric, as absolutely no one was willing to align themselves with Martell. This wasn't just a reunion special, it transformed into an intervention, with Martell finding himself on the receiving end of some brutally honest reality checks. The entire cast took turns expressing their disappointment and frustration with his behavior, while Melody, displaying remarkable composure, simply sat back and allowed the truth to speak for itself. She didn't need to mount a defense. The facts were damning enough on their own, and they painted a picture that was anything but flattering to Martell. Marcel and Tisha's stance was particularly noteworthy. While they've historically tried to maintain a diplomatic position in the ongoing drama, even they couldn't ignore how Martell was systematically destroying his own life. Marcel made it abundantly clear that while he certainly faced his own challenges, he would never dream of taking things to the extreme levels that Martell has. Tisha, always one to speak her mind, laid out the harsh truth. Martell isn't just making poor choices, he's actively choosing to persist in destructive behavior, even when presented with opportunities for growth and change. The fan reaction has been equally devastating for Martell. Social media has been flooded with messages of support for Melody, with viewers praising her resilience and dignity in the face of continued harassment. Meanwhile, Martell faces intense criticism from all sides, with viewers expressing their exhaustion with his persistent victim mentality while simultaneously being the primary source of drama and conflict. Carlos's final assessment of the situation was absolutely scathing. Martell isn't just being reckless, he's actively engaged in self-sabotage. Every move he makes seems calculated to push him further away from any possibility of redemption. And the most tragic part? He appears fully aware of this fact, yet continues to double down on his destructive behavior. At this point, it's no longer about Melody, Marcel, or even the show itself. Martell's biggest enemy appears to be himself. This raises serious questions about his future on Love and Marriage Huntsville. having burned countless bridges, lost the support of fans, and even pushed Carlos King to break his silence, one has to wonder, can Martell possibly salvage his reputation, or has he finally crossed a line from which there's no return? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section below, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for more explosive updates on this ongoing drama. The tea has never been hotter, and you won't want to miss a single drop.